All right, so the first shape we looked at was a parallelogram. And so, there we go. If I take a look at this parallelogram right here, right, if you notice it looks like a rectangle, but it's a little bit slanted, right? And we have this space right here called the base. And then the height is going to be straight from the bottom, straight to the top. Now, it's very important to know that the difference between the height and just the side length. So for example, this slanted region here, that does not represent the height of this shape. If I was to measure a person's height, right, I'm not going to measure it at an angle. That wouldn't be accurate. So I have to measure it straight from the bottom, straight to the top. Okay, so that's very important. Now, we discussed in class that the formula for the area of a parallelogram can come from the area of a rectangle. Now, a parallelogram is a shape that has two pairs of parallel sides. We discussed that a parallel side is when you have a line that is exactly mirrored to another line. Okay, so if I draw this line and then I draw this line, they're not exact mirrors of each other. All right, so these would not be parallel lines. These ones would be because they're exactly opposite or mirrors of each other. So in this case, for our parallelogram, this line and this line are parallel, and then we have this line and this line that are parallel to each other. So we have two pairs of parallel lines. Then what we said as well, we looked at the area of a rectangle, and we said area is always the space inside of a shape. Now to calculate the area of a rectangle, it's going to be length times width. Or another way you could say it is the base times the height. All right, so when we look at that base times the height or length times the width, all right, we're going this one side here times the one side here, okay? Now, the problem is if you take a look at our parallelogram, it is slanted a bit to the side. So the height should be straight up and down, all right? That's what we need to get our area. So how do we use a rectangle to help us with the area of a parallelogram? Well, if you take a look at the parallelogram, I can actually cut the parallelogram right here. And this red shape right here, this triangle, I can move that triangle over to the other side. And when I fit it in here, right, so I get rid of it on the left side. So I'm going to erase it here now. And I fit it in here. If you notice, we actually create a rectangle using a parallelogram. So a parallelogram's area is actually the same as a rectangle. It's just more about how would I calculate the area of it. Well, I have the area of the base, all right, because the area of the base, I need that, and I need to multiply it by the height. Now, if you notice, the angled side on that parallelogram, which was this side, that does not represent the height, okay? The height is this up and down measurement for my rectangle, same as it is up here. So now if we go back up to our parallelogram, the area for our parallelogram then is going to be, okay, this whole length here, the base, so B, times the height, which is H, and that's going to give us the area of any parallelogram, right? Because if you notice, this little triangle piece would just fit over here. We would still have the whole base of the shape creating the bottom of the rectangle, and then this region right here, this would be the height of the rectangle. So multiplying those two together would create the area of a rectangle. So if we do an example, let's say I give you a parallelogram that looks like this. And I give you, this is 6 centimeters and this is 3 centimeters. You cannot solve this using my formula base times height because I do have my base, that's 6, but I don't have the height. The height is the up and down measurement. This is the slanted region, so I don't have that, so I can't actually solve this. I don't have enough information. But if I give you this parallelogram and I say this is 6 centimeters, and this here in red is 3 centimeters, now I can plug those numbers into my formula. So area of a parallelogram is base times height. My base is 6 times my height is 3. So my area is going to be 18. And then because our units are centimeters, they're both in centimeters, my unit has to also be in centimeters, so it'd be centimeters. And then area, we use squared to represent area. If it was 18 centimeters, it's a length. If it's centimeters squared, it means that it's an area. Okay, that's how we would calculate the area of a parallelogram.